The red dust kicked up around Captain Alex Chen's boots as she stepped onto the Martian surface. After 6 months in transit from Earth, the feeling of solid ground beneath her feet, even if it wasn't Earth's ground, sent a wave of relief through her body. She adjusted her helmet and looked up at the rust-colored sky. This was humanity's 4th manned mission to Mars, but it was the first with the explicit goal of establishing a permanent research base. Command, this is Chen. Touchdown confirmed at Site Prometheus. Beginning preliminary survey, she reported, her voice carrying across millions of miles back to the anxious team at Mission Control. Copy that, Captain. Keep your eyes open. The orbital scans showed some anomalies in that region. Came the crackling response from Dr. Rivera, the mission director. Alex glanced at her team, Lieutenant Tom Wilson, the military escort, Dr. Lisa Park, their geologist, and Engineer Mike Collins, their tech expert. They had trained together for 3 years for this moment, and now they stood on an alien world with the weight of humanity's future resting on their shoulders. Let's move out, Alex ordered. We've got about 4 hours before the light fades. I want to get to the cave system and set up base camp before nightfall. The team trudged across the barren landscape, their heavy equipment slowing their pace. The Martian gravity, at just 38% of Earth's, made movement strange, not quite like the training simulations back home. They were lighter, but momentum was still momentum, and the bulky environmental suits limited their mobility. You feeling that? Tom asked, stopping suddenly and placing his gloved hand against the ground. The others paused, looking at him curiously. Feeling what? Lisa asked, her scientific curiosity immediately piqued. Vibrations. Like machinery. But deep, Tom replied, his military instincts on high alert. Alex frowned, kneeling down to place her own hand against the dusty surface. At first, there was nothing, but then, yes, a faint, rhythmic pulsing. Like a heartbeat, but mechanical and alien. Mike, get the seismic equipment up and running. I want to know what that is, she ordered. As Mike began setting up his gear, Lisa walked a few paces ahead, her specialized scanner sweeping the ground. Captain, you're going to want to see this, she called out, excitement evident in her voice despite the professional tone she maintained. The team regrouped around her position. Lisa's scanner displayed readings that made their hearts race. Water, she said simply. And not just trace amounts. There's a massive reservoir about 50 meters beneath us. The implications were staggering. Previous missions had found ice at the poles and evidence of ancient waterways, but a large liquid water deposit was beyond their wildest hopes. It could change everything about Mars colonization plans. Are you certain? Alex asked, her mind already racing with the possibilities and the responsibilities. The readings are clear, Lisa confirmed. This is why Houston directed us to this location. The orbital scans must have picked up on it, but they couldn't confirm what it was without boots on the ground. Tom was still focused on the vibrations. And something down there is active. These aren't natural tremors. The team exchanged glances, the unspoken question hanging in the air between them. What could be causing mechanical vibrations on a planet that was supposed to be uninhabited? Let's keep moving toward the cave entrance, Alex decided after a moment. We'll set up base and report back to Earth. This discovery needs to be properly documented. As they approached the cave system, the vibrations grew stronger. The cave entrance was larger than the satellite images had suggested, almost as if it had been expanded recently. I don't like this, Tom muttered, his hand instinctively moving to the sidearm at his hip. Standard protocol included weapons for protection against the unknown, though everyone had assumed the greatest dangers would be environmental, not whatever this was. Alex was about to respond when a flash of movement caught her eye. At first, she thought it was just dust kicked up by the wind, but then she saw it again, more deliberate, more purposeful. Hold position, she ordered sharply. The team froze, their training kicking in. They formed a defensive circle, backs to each other, scanning their surroundings. There, Mike whispered, pointing toward a ridge about 50 meters away. A figure stood there, watching them. It was roughly humanoid but clearly not human. Taller, thinner, with skin that seemed to shimmer like the surface of oil on water. Before any of them could react further, the figure disappeared back behind the ridge. "Command, this is Chin," Alex reported, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "We have confirmation of non-human intelligence. I repeat, we have confirmation of non-human intelligence on Mars." The silence from Earth lasted longer than the usual communication delay should have allowed. When Dr. Rivera's voice finally came through, it was tense. "Captain, we're receiving unusual interference. Did you say you've encountered something?" "Affirmative." Humanoid figure, non-human features, showed awareness of our presence and then retreated. "Additionally, we've detected a large liquid water reservoir beneath our position and mechanical activity underground." "Stand by, Captain. We're consulting with command structure. Do not approach the cave system until you receive further instructions." The team maintained their defensive position, eyes scanning the horizon for any further signs of the being they'd spotted. The Martian wind picked up, howling around them and reducing visibility. "They've been here all along," Lisa said quietly. "All these years we've been sending rovers and orbiters, and they've been watching us." "We don't know that," Alex replied, though she couldn't deny the logic. "Let's not jump to conclusions." A sudden, loud grinding noise came from the cave entrance. The team turned to see the opening widening, dust and rocks tumbling away as though being cleared by some unseen force. "I think they're inviting us in," Mike suggested, his voice a mixture of fear and fascination. "Or setting a trap," Tom countered. The Alex's mind raced through their options. Retreat to the landing module? Maintain position and wait for instructions? Or accept the apparent invitation and make first contact? Before she could decide, their comms crackled to life again. "Captain Shin, this is General Hayes. I'm taking over this communication. Your discovery has been classified top priority. You are to secure that water source for Earth's interests immediately. If these beings resist, you are authorized to use necessary force. Earth needs that water, Captain. The future of our species may depend on it." Alex felt a chill that had nothing to do with the Martian cold. They had come as explorers, as scientists. Now, suddenly, they were being ordered to act as conquerors, as if in response to the general's commands, more figures appeared on the ridgeline, 5, 10, then dozens. They made no aggressive moves, simply watching. Waiting. "What do we do, Captain?" Tom asked, his finger hovering near the trigger of his weapon. Alex took a deep breath, knowing that her next decision could determine the future relationship between two intelligent species, and possibly the fate of both their worlds. The wind died down suddenly, and in the eerie silence that followed, a clear, resonant tone echoed across the Martian landscape. It wasn't a sound made by human vocal cords, but its meaning was unmistakable, a challenge, a warning. The battle for Mars had begun. The resonant tone faded into the thin Martian atmosphere, leaving an uneasy silence. Alex's mind raced, weighing her orders against her instincts. The mission briefings had prepared them for many contingencies, but first contact with an intelligent species wasn't among them. Not really. It had been theoretical at best. "Captain, what are your orders?" Tom asked, his voice steady despite the tension evident in his posture. Alex took a measured breath inside her helmet. "We hold position. No aggressive movements." She toggled her comm link. "General Hayes, we have a developing situation here. These beings appear to be sentient and organized. We need time to assess before taking any action." "Negative, Captain," Hayes barked back. "Your primary mission is to secure that water. The Pentagon is lighting up like a Christmas tree. The President is being briefed as we speak. You have your orders." Alex felt the weight of history pressing down on her shoulders. She looked at her team, then back at the alien figures on the ridge. They remained motionless, watching, waiting. What was going through their minds? Did they see humans as invaders? Explorers? A potential threat to their resource? "Lisa, what can you tell me about that water reservoir?" Alex asked, buying time to think. The geologist checked her scanner, professional instincts taking over despite the extraordinary circumstances. "It's roughly 200 meters deep, extends for several kilometers in all directions. Preliminary analysis suggests it's not just water, it's incredibly pure water with mineral content that, well, it's unlike anything in our databases. This could revolutionize our understanding of Martian geology. Or it could save Earth, Mike added quietly. The engineer's normally cheerful face was solemn behind his visor. You all saw the news before we left. The equatorial aquifers are almost depleted. Australia's been completely dry for months. The water wars in South Asia aren't getting any better. Tom nodded grimly. That's why we're here. That's why haze is breathing down our necks. This isn't just about science anymore. Alex felt the burden of command like never before. Earth needed this water. Her own family back in drought-stricken California needed this water. But at what cost? Starting an interplanetary conflict with an unknown species over resources? Wasn't that repeating humanity's worst mistakes on a cosmic scale? The ground beneath them trembled again, stronger this time. A plume of red dust erupted from the cave entrance, and all 4 humans instinctively moved back, forming a defensive circle. Something's coming out, Tom warned, raising his weapon despite Alex's earlier order. From the darkness of the cave emerged a single figure. Unlike the others watching from the ridge, this one moved directly toward them with purposeful strides. It was tall, at least 7 feet, with the same oil-slick skin that seemed to shift colors with each movement. Its limbs were longer than a human's, its head slightly elongated, but the most striking feature was its eyes, large, luminous, and unmistakably intelligent. "Hold steady," Alex murmured, fighting the primitive fear response that told her to run. This was what they'd trained for, what humanity had wondered about for centuries. First contact. The alien stopped about 10 meters away. It carried no visible weapons, though its hands, if they could be called that, had 6 digits that seemed both delicate and strangely powerful. It raised these hands now in what Alex desperately hoped was a universal gesture of peace. "Attempt communication," she ordered Mike, who fumbled with the translation device they'd brought for potential encounters with, well, no one had truly expected to use it. The device emitted a series of tones and mathematical sequences, humanity's best guess at a universal language. The alien tilted its head, listening. Then, to everyone's shock, it responded with a series of similar tones, but arranged in a pattern that somehow felt corrective. "It's teaching us," Lisa whispered in awe. "It's improving our communication attempt." Mike adjusted the device, programming it to mimic the alien's pattern. This is beyond anything we expected, Captain." The alien seemed pleased with the adjustment, nodding its elongated head. It then pointed deliberately at the ground beneath them, then to itself and the others on the ridge. The message seemed clear enough. "It's claiming the water," Tom translated unnecessarily, tension evident in his voice. "They're saying it's theirs." "Command, are you seeing this?" Alex reported, knowing the video feed from their suits was being transmitted back to Earth. "We have direct communication attempt from the alien species. They appear to be intelligent and organized, and they're making territorial claims to the water resource." General Hayes's response came after a longer delay than usual. When his voice finally came through, it was measured but firm. "Captain Chin, this changes nothing. That water is critical to Earth's survival. Find out what they want, negotiate if possible, but secure that resource. Those are your orders." Alex closed her eyes briefly. The path ahead was fraught with ethical minefields. Behind her stood humanity's desperate need. Before her stood a species whose rights and civilization they knew nothing about. The moment felt like a pivotal page in history, one that might be looked back on with pride or shame. "Dr. Park," she said finally, "prepare our visual communication systems. Let's show them Earth, show them our water crisis. Mr. Collins, keep working on that translation. Lieutenant Wilson, stand ready, but remember we're here as representatives of all humanity." As her team moved to carry out her orders, Alex took a step forward, alone, toward the alien representative. Sometimes, she thought, the weightiest moments in history came down to simple human connections, or whatever the equivalent might be between different worlds. The alien watched her approach, its iridescent eyes unblinking. The alien's eyes followed Alex's every movement as she approached. Up close, she could see subtle patterns rippling across its skin, intricate designs that seemed almost like living circuitry. It made no threatening moves, but the weight of its attention felt physical, as if it were examining not just her suit but what lay beneath: flesh, bone, and intention. "My name is Alex Chen," she said, placing a hand on her chest. The universal gesture might mean nothing to this being, but she had to try. "We come from Earth." She pointed upward, toward the pale blue that was barely visible in the Martian sky. The alien mimicked her gesture, placing what appeared to be a hand against its own chest. It emitted a series of tones, melodic, complex, impossible for a human throat to recreate. Behind her, Mike's translation device worked frantically to process the sounds. "It's introducing itself," he called out. "At least, that's my best guess. The pattern is similar to your introduction." The alien then pointed to the ground, made a flowing motion with its six-fingered hands, and gestured toward the ridge where the others waited. "Water? There's many," Lisa interpreted, her scientific mind picking up patterns even without a formal translation. "I think they're saying the water belongs to many of them." Alex nodded slowly. "We understand," she said clearly, hoping her tone would convey meaning even if her words couldn't. "We also need water." She mimicked drinking, then pointed back toward Earth. The alien tilted its head, considering. Then it extended a hand, palm up, another seemingly universal gesture. "An invitation." "Captain," Tom warned, "we don't know what—" "I know the risks, Lieutenant," Alex cut him off. She looked back at the alien and then carefully, deliberately placed her gloved hand above its outstretched palm, not quite touching. The alien closed the distance, pressing its strange hand against hers. A jolt of energy, not electrical, but something else, passed through her suit and into her body. Images flooded her mind: underground cities carved from red stone, vast transparent domes protecting verdant gardens, networks of pipes channeling water through Martian bedrock. And faces, hundreds of alien faces of different sizes and shimmering hues, all dependent on the water flowing beneath their feet. Alex gasped and stumbled backward as the connection broke, her heart pounding. "They're a civilization," she managed, her voice shaking. "An entire society, living underground. The water, it's everything to them. Like it is to us." "Captain, are you all right?" Tom moved to her side, supporting her as she regained her balance. "I'm fine," she assured him. "They were showing me, communicating," her calm crackled. "Captain Chin," General Hayes barked, "we're detecting unusual energy readings from your position." "What's happening?" Before Alex could respond, her attention was drawn to movement on the ridge. The watching aliens were no longer simply watching. They had begun to descend, dozens of them moving with fluid grace down the rocky slope. "Command," Alex reported, "we have multiple contacts approaching. No signs of aggression yet, but defensive positions." Tom ordered the team, military training taking over. "Belay that," Alex countermanded. "They're not attacking. They're—" She paused, seeking the right word. "They're gathering." The first alien stepped back as its companions approached, forming a semicircle around the humans. One of them carried what appeared to be an object made of a crystalline material that caught the dying Martian sunlight and refracted it in mesmerizing patterns. Some kind of technology, Mike observed quietly. Or artifact. Or weapon. The alien holding the crystal stepped forward and placed it on the ground between them. It pulsed with an inner light that grew stronger, then projected what could only be described as a hologram into the air between them. The image showed Mars, but a different Mars. Oceans covered much of its surface, clouds swirled in its atmosphere, and green vegetation dotted its landmasses. Then the image shifted, showing catastrophe, a massive impact, atmosphere bleeding away into space, oceans receding, life retreating underground. "They're showing us their history," Lisa whispered in awe. "Mars was once like Earth." The hologram shifted again, now showing Earth, current Earth, with its drying rivers, expanding deserts, melting ice caps. The image was so accurate, so detailed, that Alex felt a chill. "They've been watching us," Tom realized. "Studying us. Maybe for centuries." The final image that appeared was the most disturbing. Earth, transformed into a barren red wasteland, identical to the Mars of the present day. A warning, Alex breathed. They're warning us that Earth will become like Mars if we don't change course. The crystal's light faded, and the original alien stepped forward again. It made a sweeping gesture toward the cave entrance, then pointed at Alex and her team. I think they're inviting us inside, Mike suggested as Alex's comm crackled again. Captain Shin, our analysts have reviewed your video feed, Hayes said, his voice tight with tension. We believe they're leading you to the water source. This is your opportunity. A small team of armed specialists is being prepped for emergency deployment to your location. ETA 14 hours. Keep them talking until reinforcements arrive. Alex felt ice forming in her stomach. Armed specialists. The implication was clear. Earth's governments had already decided that the water would be theirs, by negotiation or by force. General, I strongly advise against military action, she responded, keeping her voice low. We're dealing with an advanced civilization with technology we don't understand. Aggression could be catastrophic. Your concern is noted, Captain, Hayes replied coldly. But this isn't your call to make. Billions of lives depend on securing that water resource. Alex looked at her team. Lisa's eyes were wide with scientific wonder. Mike seemed torn between fascination and fear. Tom's face was a professional mask, but his eyes betrayed conflict. The soldier in him understood Hayes's position, but the human in him recognized the ethical quagmire they were wading into. What do we do, Captain? Lisa asked quietly. Alex took a deep breath. We accept their invitation. We learn everything we can about them, about the water, about potential compromise. We represent humanity's best, not its worst. She squared her shoulders. And we buy time to find another solution. The team nodded, unified in purpose if not in certainty. They followed the aliens toward the cave entrance, the Martian dust swirling around their boots with each step. The cavern yawned before them, a portal into the unknown. The vibrations they'd felt earlier were stronger now, a rhythmic pulsing that seemed to emanate from deep within the planet itself. As they stepped into the shadows, leaving the harsh Martian sunlight behind, Alex couldn't shake the feeling that they were crossing a threshold from which there would be no return, not just physically, but historically. Whatever happened in the next few hours would shape the relationship between two planets, two species, perhaps for millennia to come. Behind them, the sun dipped toward the horizon, casting long shadows across the red landscape. Soon, Earth would rise in the night sky, a blue beacon of hope, or perhaps a harbinger of conflict. The clock was ticking. 14 hours until the soldiers arrived. 14 hours to find a peaceful solution, or to witness the beginning of the First Interplanetary War. The cave walls narrowed around them, then suddenly opened into a vast underground chamber that took their breath away. Bioluminescent growths lined the ceiling, casting an ethereal blue light over an underground lake that stretched beyond their vision. The water was impossibly clear, with strange structures rising from its depths, part technology, part organic, utterly alien. And standing at the lake's edge, waiting for them, were hundreds more of the aliens. Alex froze at the sight of the massive alien gathering. The underground cavern hummed with energy, both from the strange technology embedded in the walls and from the palpable tension in the air. Hundreds of alien eyes fixed on the four humans, their skin shimmering in patterns that seemed to communicate emotions too complex for words. Stay calm, Alex murmured to her team. Remember, we're diplomats now, not just explorers. Their alien guide stepped forward and made a sweeping gesture toward the underground lake. The water's surface rippled, though there was no wind in the cavern. Then, to the humans' astonishment, a portion of the lake began to rise, forming a perfect column of water that defied gravity. The liquid column twisted, reshaped itself, and formed what appeared to be a three-dimensional map, a perfect replica of Earth's continents and oceans, floating in midair. That's impossible, Lisa whispered, her scientific mind struggling to process what her eyes were seeing. They're manipulating water at the molecular level. The liquid Earth rotated slowly, then zoomed in on specific regions, the dried-up Colorado River basin, the depleted aquifers of northern China, the desertified farmlands of Central Africa. With each image, the gathered aliens made a harmonious humming sound that resonated through the chamber. "They're showing us what they already know about our water crisis," Mike said, his voice filled with wonder. "But how? How could they possibly have this information?" Before anyone could theorize further, the water map dissolved and reformed into something else, a spherical object orbiting Earth. As they watched, the liquid model showed the object breaking apart, fragments falling toward Earth's surface. Where each fragment landed, blue tendrils spread outward, like water flowing back into dried riverbeds. Are they proposing a solution?" Tom asked, his military suspicion momentarily forgotten in the face of such technology. The lead alien approached Alex again, extending both hands this time. It made a series of melodic sounds that the translation device struggled to interpret. "It's saying something about sharing? Giving?" "The syntax isn't clear," Mike reported, adjusting the device. "Wait, I think it's offering us water technology. Something that could help Earth." Alex felt a surge of hope. This changes everything. If they're willing to share technology rather than just resources, her comm unit suddenly emitted a burst of static, making her wince. General Hayes's voice came through, distorted but urgent. "Captain Chen, we've detected a massive energy surge at your location. The Pentagon is concerned about possible hostile intent. The extraction team has been accelerated. New ETA 4 hours. I repeat, 4 hours." Alex's blood ran cold. 4 hours? "Sir, that's not enough time to establish diplomatic. This is non-negotiable, Captain." Hayes cut her off. "And there's something else you should know. Our intelligence suggests the Chinese Mars mission launched last month wasn't just for research. They've deployed a military payload, estimated arrival 36 hours after our team. This is now a race, Captain. Secure that water or the technology controlling it before our rivals do." The comm went dead. Alex looked at her team, horror dawning on their faces. They weren't just facing the ethical challenge of first contact. They were now caught in the opening moves of an interplanetary resource war between Earth's superpowers. "Captain," Lisa said quietly, "we need to tell them. They deserve to know what's coming." Before Alex could respond, a tremor ran through the cavern, stronger than before, violent enough to send loose rocks tumbling from the ceiling. The aliens reacted immediately, moving with coordinated precision. Some gathered around what appeared to be control panels embedded in the stone walls. Others formed protective circles around what Alex now realized were alien children, smaller versions of the adults with more luminescent skin. Their guide made an urgent gesture, and the water map dissolved. In its place appeared an image of Mars's orbit, with 2 approaching objects highlighted, human spacecraft. "They already know," Tom realized. "They've been tracking our ships and probably the Chinese mission too." The lead alien made a series of rapid sounds. This time, the translation device captured more of the meaning. "Danger? Coming, not first time, defend, sacred water." The implications hit Alex like a physical blow. Not the first time? They've encountered humans before. As if responding to her question, the liquid display shifted again, showing a timeline that stretched back decades. It revealed something shocking: earlier, unannounced landings on Mars. Secret missions that had never been made public. "Those are military craft," Tom identified, his voice tight. "Black projects. Some American, some Russian, some Chinese. Dating back at least 15 years. "We've been here before," Lisa said, horror in her voice. "Governments have known about the aliens, about the water, for years. And kept it secret," Mike added, "probably trying to figure out how to exploit it without public oversight." The truth crashed down on Alex with devastating clarity. They weren't making first contact at all. They were pawns in a game that had been playing out for years, expendable public-facing scientists sent to provide cover for military operations. The alien leader seemed to sense their distress. It approached Alex again and this time placed a hand directly on her helmet. The material should have blocked any contact, but Alex felt the same rush of images as before, only now they showed something new. Alien children hiding in tunnels as human soldiers extracted water samples. Primitive attempts by earlier human missions to capture alien technology. Repeated violations of what the aliens clearly considered sacred space. They've been patient with us, Alex realized aloud as the connection broke. Despite everything we've done, they've been restraining themselves. But now, the cavern shook again, more violently. This time, it wasn't just a tremor. The entire chamber seemed to be reconfiguring itself. Walls shifted, tunnels sealed, and new passages opened. The aliens were changing their underground architecture, preparing for what was coming. Their guide made another series of sounds, which the translator interpreted with growing accuracy. Must choose. Which humans speak truth, which humans speak lies. Alex understood with perfect clarity. The aliens were forcing a reckoning, demanding that humanity show its true face. Would it be the face of cooperation, of mutual respect between species? Or the face of conquest? The T had been making covert incursions for years. Captain, Tom said urgently, we have a serious problem. If those military teams arrive and find us cooperating with the aliens instead of securing the water source, we'll be considered traitors, Alex finished for him. She knew the protocols for space exploration well enough. In a situation deemed critical to national security, astronauts who failed to follow direct orders could face court-martial, or worse, be classified as compromised by extraterrestrial influence and handled accordingly. The alien leader made a gesture toward one of the newly formed tunnels. Inside, they could see what appeared to be a command center with more of the liquid display technology. I think they want to show us something, Lisa suggested. Or they're separating us from our landing module, Tom countered, his military training asserting itself again. Cutting off our escape route. Mike checked his equipment. Captain, our comms are being blocked now. I can't reach Earth. As the team grappled with this new development, a different alien approached, one they hadn't seen before. Its skin patterns were more complex, its movements more deliberate. It carried what appeared to be an ancient artifact, a container made of material unlike the technology around them. With ceremonial precision, it presented the container to Alex. Inside was something that made all four humans gasp in unison. A NASA patch, weathered and faded, from a mission that had never been publicly acknowledged. Alongside it lay dog tags bearing the name of an astronaut who had supposedly died during training decades ago. Evidence, Alex whispered. They're giving us evidence of the cover-up. The lead alien's translation came through more clearly this time. Truth or war? Choose. The cavern trembled again as the alien civilization continued its preparations. Alex looked at her team, at the hundreds of alien beings watching them, at the evidence of humanity's deception resting in her hands. In just over 3 hours, armed forces would arrive, expecting her team to have paved the way for a water extraction that could trigger an interplanetary conflict. And somewhere in Earth orbit, other nations were preparing their own missions, their own soldiers, their own claims to the Martian water. A cosmic gold rush was beginning, with two civilizations caught in the balance. The clock was ticking. The choices narrowing. And the fate of two worlds now rested on what four humans would decide to do next. Alex stared at the NASA patch and dog tags in her hands, physical proof of humanity's deception. The weight of the decision before her felt heavier than the Martian gravity pulling at her bones. 3 hours until military forces arrived. Possibly minutes until their communications blackout was discovered and emergency protocols were triggered. We need to decide, Tom said, breaking the tense silence. Either we follow orders and secure this place for the extraction team, or... He didn't finish the sentence. He didn't need to. Alex looked at each of her teammates in turn. I need to know where you all stand. This isn't just about our careers anymore. It's about history. It's about justice. Lisa spoke first, her scientist's devotion to truth unwavering. We can't be complicit in this deception. These beings have technology that could solve Earth's water crisis without stealing their resource. We need cooperation, not colonization. Mike nodded. I didn't sign up to be part of a military conquest. Especially not against a species that seems more advanced and peaceful than we are. They all turned to Tom, the career military officer. He stared at the alien leader for a long moment, then sighed. I swore to protect my country and my planet. That oath doesn't say anything about starting an interplanetary war based on lies. He straightened his shoulders. I'm with you, Captain. Whatever you decide. Alex felt a surge of pride in her team. She turned to the alien leader. We choose truth, she said clearly. But we need your help. We need to warn Earth about what's really happening here before the military teams arrive. The alien leader made a gesture, and the communication blackout lifted. Alex's comm unit crackled back to life with Hayes's voice already in mid-sentence. Repeat, Captain Chen, respond immediately or we will consider you compromised and proceed accordingly. General Hayes, Alex replied, her voice steady with newfound resolve, I need to speak directly to the President. What I've discovered here changes everything. That's not going to happen, Captain, Hayes responded coldly. You seem to be suffering from some kind of extraterrestrial influence. The extraction team has been given new orders. They're to secure both the water source and your team, by any means necessary. Sir, listen to me. Alex insisted. The Martians have water manipulation technology far beyond anything we've imagined. They can help Earth without us stealing their resource. And sir, they have evidence of previous human missions. Missions that were never disclosed to the public. There was a long silence from Earth. When Hayes spoke again, his voice was dangerously quiet. Captain Chen, you and your team are hereby relieved of duty. Remain where you are and await extraction. The connection went dead, this time cut off from Earth's side. They're not going to listen, Tom said grimly. Standard protocol when an off-world team is believed to be compromised, isolate them, extract them, debrief them in controlled conditions. Or worse, Mike added. I've heard rumors about contingency plans for extraterrestrial contamination. The alien leader watched this exchange with those unblinking, luminous eyes. It made a series of sounds that the translator interpreted. Other humans come. Weapons. Must protect water. The cavern trembled again, more violently than before. The underground lake began to drain, the water flowing into newly formed channels in the rock. The aliens were moving their most precious resource deeper underground, away from human reach. They're going defensive, Tom analyzed. Preparing for the arrival of our military. Alex made her decision. She removed her helmet, a gesture of both trust and desperation in the alien atmosphere. The air felt strange against her skin, denser than Earth's but breathable thanks to their suit's prior analysis and adjustment. We need to stop this, she said to the alien leader directly, face to face, without the barrier of glass between them. Help us send a message that can't be ignored or hidden. The alien leader studied her exposed face, then reached out one six-fingered hand and touched her cheek. The connection was immediate and overwhelming. Not just images this time, but a complete understanding. In that moment of contact, Alex saw the Martians' history in its entirety, how they had once lived on the surface until environmental catastrophe forced them underground, how they had developed water conservation and manipulation technology to survive, how they had observed Earth for centuries, watching with growing concern as humans followed the same destructive path that had nearly ended their own civilization, and she understood their fear, not just of humans taking their water, but of humans bringing the same environmental recklessness to Mars that had damaged Earth. When the connection broke, Alex knew exactly what needed to be done. We need to broadcast to Earth, she told her team. Not just to the military or NASA. To everyone. The whole planet. How? Mike asked. We can't override NASA's communication protocols from here. The alien leader made a gesture, and part of the cavern wall shifted, revealing a chamber filled with technology unlike anything they'd seen before. At its center stood what appeared to be a communication array, but far more advanced than human equivalents. They're offering us their communication system, Lisa realized. But will it be compatible with Earth's technology? It doesn't need to be, Alex said with sudden clarity. They don't just control water. They can manipulate energy waves, including the electromagnetic spectrum. She turned to the alien leader. You can broadcast directly to Earth's devices, can't you? All of them. Simultaneously. The alien made an affirmative gesture. The translator interpreted, "Truth. To all. Show them." Working together, the humans and aliens created a broadcast unlike any in history. Using the aliens' liquid display technology, they compiled irrefutable evidence: the secret NASA missions, the military plans, the truth about Mars' underground civilization, and most importantly, the Martians' offer not water itself, but water technology that could end Earth's crisis without depleting Mars' resources. As they worked, the countdown continued. 2 hours until the military team arrived. Then one. "It's ready," Mike announced, making final adjustments to the alien communication array with the help of 2 Martian technicians. "But the broadcast will be detected immediately. Earth's governments will try to shut it down, claim it's a hoax. They'll have about 30 seconds before someone pulls the plug," Tom agreed. "It needs to be compelling enough that people will demand answers." "Then we make it count," Alex said. She positioned herself in front of the liquid display, which now showed both the underground Martian city and the approaching Earth military vessels. "Everyone on Earth deserves to know what's at stake here." The alien leader joined her, standing tall beside the human captain, a powerful visual of cooperation between species. The broadcast began, sending their message to every connected device on Earth simultaneously: phones, computers, televisions, radio. "People of Earth," Alex began, her voice clear and unwavering. "I am Captain Alexandra Chen of the Mars Prometheus mission. What I'm about to show you has been hidden from the public for decades. We are not alone in our solar system." For the next 20 seconds, they presented their evidence: quick, visual, undeniable. The aliens' peaceful civilization. The secret military missions. The water technology that could save Earth without conflict. "In less than 30 minutes, military forces will arrive here with orders to secure this water resource by force if necessary," Alex continued. "This could begin an interplanetary war that neither world wants. But there is another way." The broadcast suddenly cut off. As predicted, Earth's governments had managed to block the signal. But had it been enough? Had enough people seen it to make a difference? The answer came sooner than expected. Their comm units suddenly activated, bypassing NASA's protocols. Multiple frequencies started transmitting simultaneously: civilian news networks, amateur radio operators, ordinary citizens finding ways to reach them. "Captain Chen, this is Atlantic News Network. Is your broadcast authentic? Can you verify? Social media is exploding with your message. The Pentagon is denying everything, but people are demanding largest simultaneous broadcast in human history." Every device on Earth received, and then cutting through the chaos, a different voice, calm, authoritative. "Captain Chen, this is President Vargas. I've just convened an emergency session of the United Nations Security Council. We were not fully briefed on the nature of the Martian situation. I am ordering all military operations to stand down pending diplomatic discussion. Can you facilitate communication with the Martian leadership?" Alex looked at the alien leader, who had been monitoring the transmissions. It made a gesture of agreement. "Yes, Mr. President," Alex replied. "They're willing to talk. But sir, there's something you need to know. The Chinese mission is also standing down," the president interrupted. "After your broadcast, there's been unprecedented international cooperation. No nation wants to be seen as the aggressor in humanity's first public contact with an alien civilization." Relief flooded through Alex, so powerful she had to steady herself against a nearby wall. They had done it. They had stopped a war before it began, but the alien leader suddenly stiffened, its skin patterns shifting to colors they hadn't seen before. It made urgent sounds that the translator struggled to interpret. "Something's wrong," Lisa said, studying the patterns. "They're alarmed about something." The liquid display shifted to show Mars' orbit. The military extraction vessel was indeed decelerating, standing down as ordered. But behind it, almost invisible against the blackness of space, another object was approaching, small, fast, and on a direct course for their location. "That's not one of ours," Tom said, studying the trajectory. "And it's not Chinese or Russian. That's a completely different design." The alien leader's translation came through: "Others." Watching. Always watching. Coming now. Others. Alex repeated, confusion giving way to a new dread. What others? The display zoomed in on the approaching craft. It was like nothing built by human hands, sleek, almost organic in design, and moving with impossible speed. Another alien species, Lisa whispered, the scientist in her momentarily overcoming her fear. Mars has been visited by others besides us. The alien leader confirmed this with a grim gesture. The translator interpreted, they watch. Take water from many worlds. Now come here. They're water hunters, Mike realized. Interstellar water thieves. And our broadcast just advertised Mars water to them. The cavern shook violently as something massive entered Mars' atmosphere. The alien leader made a series of urgent commands, and the underground city shifted again. Tunnels sealing, defenses activating. The peaceful water engineers were preparing for a very different kind of encounter than the one with humans. President Vargas, Alex transmitted urgently, we have a new situation developing. Mars is about to be approached by another non-human spacecraft. Intent unknown but potentially hostile. There was a moment of silence from Earth, then, Captain Chen, can you confirm? A third party has entered the situation? Affirmative, sir. And based on the Martians' reaction, they're not friendly visitors. The alien leader approached. Alex again, extending both hands. When she took them, the mental connection formed immediately. She saw images of other planets, other water sources, systematically drained by the approaching visitors. These weren't explorers or colonizers. They were harvesters who left nothing behind. When the connection broke, Alex knew that everything had changed again. Sir, she reported, the Martians have encountered these visitors before on other worlds. They're a nomadic species that harvests water resources completely before moving on. They've destroyed multiple civilizations. The president's response was immediate. Captain Chen, the Security Council is unanimous. In light of this new threat, Earth formally offers alliance and protection to Mars. Our military vessel is at your disposal. Alex looked at the alien leader. Your water technology and our military capabilities. Together we might stand a chance. The alien leader considered this, then extended a hand toward Alex, not for a mental connection this time, but for something much older and more universal. A handshake that as their hands clasped, human and Martian united in common purpose, the cavern trembled one final time. But this wasn't the Martians reconfiguring their city. This was impact. The third species had arrived. Well, Tom said, checking his weapon with grim determination, looks like we found something that could unite humanity and Mars after all. Alex nodded, a strange calm settling over her as she faced this new threat alongside her team and their newfound allies. Sometimes, she said, you need a common enemy to forge an unlikely friendship. The alien leader's translation came through with perfect clarity. Together. Defend water. Defend life. Outside, in the red Martian dust, something was emerging from a craft unlike any that humans had built. And for the first time in solar system history, two planetary civilizations prepared to stand together against a threat from beyond. The battle for Mars water had only just begun. 2 weeks had passed since the arrival of the water harvesters. 2 weeks of desperate strategy, unlikely alliances, and battles that would forever change humanity's understanding of its place in the cosmos. Now, as Alex stood on the Martian surface watching Earth's second transport ship land, she still couldn't quite believe how quickly everything had changed. Still processing? Lisa asked, joining her at the observation point they'd established on the ridge above the underground city. The same ridge where they'd first spotted the Martian observers, in what now seemed like another lifetime. Every minute, Alex admitted. She gestured toward the sprawling installation that now surrounded the cave entrance, a joint human-Martian outpost that had been hastily constructed after the harvesters were driven back. Solar panels glinted in the sunlight, communication arrays constantly monitored the skies, and personnel from a dozen Earth nations worked alongside Martian specialists in an unprecedented collaboration. Hard to believe we were ready to go to war with them just 2 weeks ago, Lisa said. Alex nodded. Nothing unites enemies like a bigger enemy. The water harvesters had proven to be exactly what the Martians feared, ruthlessly efficient resource extractors with technology centuries beyond Earth's capabilities. Their first attack had targeted the underground reservoirs directly, using drilling equipment that could have reached the water within hours. Only the combined efforts of Martian defensive systems and the weapons aboard Earth's military vessel had driven them back, but the harvesters hadn't left Mars' orbit. They were regrouping, adapting their strategy, and there was every reason to believe they would return with greater numbers. Intelligence shared by the Martians suggested this was their standard approach. Initial probing attacks followed by overwhelming force. Captain Chin, Tom's voice came through her comm unit. The diplomatic team is disembarking. President Vargas is requesting your presence. On my way, Alex responded. She turned to Lisa. Ready to make some more history? Lisa smiled. After everything we've been through? This is the easy part. They made their way down from the ridge to the landing zone, where Earth's newest arrivals were gathering. The spacecraft's hatch opened, and out stepped not just President Vargas but the Secretary-General of the United Nations and representatives from every major nation on Earth. This wasn't just a diplomatic mission, it was humanity's first official delegation to another civilization. Alex and her team took their positions alongside the Martian Leadership Council, 7 of the tall, iridescent beings who had been selected to represent their people. The leader who had first contacted them, now identified by the approximated name Varen, stood at the center. Captain Chin, President Vargas greeted her warmly. Once again, humanity owes you a debt we can never repay. Alex shook her head. I just did what seemed right, sir. We all did. What seemed right may have saved 2 worlds, the president replied. He turned to Varen and the Martian Council, performing the greeting gesture they had established, right hand over heart, a sign of truthful intentions. On behalf of Earth, I come to formalize our alliance and begin the work of protecting our shared solar system. Varen returned the gesture and responded through the now refined translation system. Mars welcomes Earth's friendship. Together we will defend the water that gives life to both our peoples. The formal ceremony was brief but powerful, the first interplanetary treaty signed on Martian soil. It established not just military cooperation against the harvesters but a framework for scientific and cultural exchange that would benefit both worlds. As the officials moved inside for more detailed discussions, Mike appeared at Alex's side, his engineer's excitement barely contained. Wait till you see what the Martian tech specialists showed me this morning, he said, guiding her toward a small workshop area where human and Martian engineers had been collaborating. Inside, a demonstration was underway. A Martian technician was showing how their water manipulation technology could extract moisture from Mars' thin atmosphere, not just collecting it but actively generating it through a process that Mike had described as molecular reassembly. They're teaching us how to create water from atmospheric compounds, Mike explained. Not just extract existing moisture, actually synthesize it. If we can adapt this for Earth. He didn't need to finish the sentence. The implications were clear. The end of water scarcity not through resource theft but through technological evolution. That's what this was always meant to be, Alex said quietly. Not a war over resources, but a sharing of knowledge. Later that evening, as both Martian suns set in a spectacular display of orange and purple, Alex found herself back on the ridge, watching the stars emerge. Somewhere out there, the harvesters were planning their return. Earth's military vessels now patrolled Mars' orbit, joined by Martian defense craft that had been hidden beneath the surface for centuries. Tom joined her, offering a ration packet. Not exactly a celebration dinner, he said with a wry smile. I'll take it, Alex replied, accepting the food. After military rations, even these emergency supplies taste pretty good. They ate in companionable silence for a while, watching the Earth rise as a bright blue star in the Martian night sky. Do you think we'll win? Tom asked finally. When they come back in force? Alex considered this. I don't know. Their technology is impressive, but they've never faced 2 united planets before. And there's something they don't understand. What's that? Water isn't just a resource to be consumed. It's life itself. And life fights hardest when it's threatened. She gestured toward the base below, where humans and Martians continued their work long into the night. Besides, we've got something they don't. What's that? Tom asked. Creativity. Adaptability. The Martians survived environmental catastrophe by going underground and developing water technology. Humans have weathered every disaster thrown our way. Together. She smiled. I almost feel sorry for the harvesters. A signal flashed across the night sky, one of Earth's patrol ships completing its orbit. Below, the lights of the joint base twinkled like earthbound stars, a beacon of cooperation in the vast Martian desert. Whatever happens next, Alex said, we've already made history. The first interplanetary alliance. The first time two worlds stood together. She looked up at the stars, where both danger and possibility waited. And something tells me it won't be the last. The red planet spun beneath them, no longer a target for exploitation but a partner in humanity's greatest adventure. And somewhere in the vast darkness above, the water harvesters approached, unaware that what they would find on their return was no longer two separate worlds, but a united solar system ready to defend the precious blue resource that had brought them together. The battle for Mars' water had transformed into something much more significant, the fight for a shared future among the stars.